Thunderbolts. I don't even remember. I mean, I barely remember the movie at this point.
I think you got about, I want to say, at least a quarter of the way in talking about it.
There's a really funny scene at the end where they're trying to show the Thunderbolts as like heroes, and it's them taking a piece of cement and pushing it from one side to the other. And I think there might have been, hey Victor, I think there may have been like one person that was originally getting saved by the concrete, and it took all of the Thunderbolts to push it over. And it was weird. It was almost like comedic in the way that it was like shot, even though it was supposed to be like a serious thing. Thunderbolts has a lot of tonal issues. Shocker from Marvel. And I think
tried too hard to do their own version of Suicide Squad.
Yeah, it just I'm tired of it, man.
It's kind of crazy thinking about how many superhero movies and stuff are being canceled and delayed here lately. I mean, I heard about the Black Panther game getting canned, I think, completely.
Wait, was that supposed to be the one with him and Captain America?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. I honestly, I haven't been keeping up with video game stuff lately because every time I hear video game news now, it just makes me sad for that entire industry.
Yeah. So, but then what was the other part with them? I don't know. It's just, at this point, it's kind of like I just want to see a good movie. Just like with DC announcing this expansive universe. It's like, no, just do a good Superman movie. Yeah. I don't think there's superhero fatigue. I just think there's bad superhero fatigue because we're seeing so much quantity instead of quality.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely, and I've heard other people talk about this too, but it's, and I know we have, but there's so many television shows and so many movies that you have to watch to have any understanding of what's going on. And I think it was Kevin Feige that came out and said that the MCU feels more like homework now.
Yes.
And that's been true for a long time.
That's a good way to put it, actually.
Yeah, it was probably true even before Endgame to some degree. And it was already hard enough to get in. I don't remember how many movies are in the MCU before including Endgame, so before sort of the modern era of it. But even that's like a lot, and you really have to kind of watch all of those movies
to understand what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of skip the Hulk.
Yeah, you can.
But
there's a lot of content that you have to watch to keep up with it. I mean, they were the first to do it, and then DC tried to replicate it in a horrible way.
Yeah, they were too concerned about getting to Justice League.
Yep.
They were making good money. They just kind of had to find their own way, and everybody. I mean, I mean things. They kind of seem like they're changing. I don't know. I know part of it's just like my taste has changed a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's it too. I think the new
away from the blockbusters
genre is going to be. I think superheroes are going to phase out somewhat, and then video games are going to be the next hot button. Like we got to do the video game movies now.
I'm curious to see how that.
TV shows.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how that goes. And it's mostly because I don't know how certain games translated into movies, who the audience is gonna be, because, and I'll take like Ocarina of Time, like Legend of Zelda, as an example. So in video game form, Ocarina of Time appeals to me when I was 10, and it appeals to me now.
Right.
I don't know if
because you're still a 10-year-old.
Right. I don't know if a movie, whenever they come out with a Zelda movie, I don't know how much that's going to appeal to me.
I get what
Where
you're saying.
you see what I'm saying is it's like I can play. I mean, Mario's the same way to some degree, right? And then the Mario movie, like we both liked it. I don't think we were blown away by it, but I still have like pretty good memory
You
of
talking about that Girl Boss movie?
the girl. Yeah, right. Girl bossing all over the place. Sorry. Um, but yeah, so I don't know. I don't know if take like Minecraft. Like Minecraft obviously appealed to a very specific group of people and did very well.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if every game will be able to handle that, and not only on top of that, but the quality is going to have to be different depending on what game we're talking about as well. It's not just. It feels like to me, superheroes was just so accepted. I don't know if video games is going to quite get there because they've always struggled, and obviously not a lot of them haven't been very good. But I don't know if it's as what's the term I'm looking for, Joseph? There's a lot of variation. Are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just listening to you.
You're good. There's a lot of sorry, so quiet.
Just listening, dude.
um,
You know how the Bible says, "Be quick to listen and slow to speak."
yeah. It's just so quiet over my ears. Like I'm not getting.
You can't take it.
Yeah.
I'll just start going, do.
Hello. Anyway, so yeah. Marvel and their whole thing. It was all sort of in a vacuum to a degree, but it was something that appealed very broadly to people. It's one of the reasons why it did so well, and it's why for a long time. Before like Deadpool came around in particular, a lot of R-rated movies, it hurts you a little bit in the box office because of the potential appeal and how many people can go see your movie. Unlike why kids' movies have a huge box office success a lot of the time, it's because the kid has to go and at least one of the parents is going as well. So
Right,
there's
exactly.
financial incentive in making kids' movies. It has the potential to just like blow up.
Double all your audience. Yeah.
Yeah. And, it's why sometimes terrible movies do really, really well because they have sort of that mass appeal. And with like kids' movies in particular, to some degree, I don't know how true it still is, but you could put out just a slop of a kids' movie and it could make so much money. Because parents are going to take their kids to go see it if it, appeals to children. So
Yep.
It all kind of depends. I think you could be right, though. I mean, they've done really, really well. I don't think it's still early on, so it's gonna be interesting to see what kind of money comes in from that. Because even Minecraft didn't hit $1 billion. I mean,
I think
might.
It could have, though.
It could have.
It would have if they would have kept it in theaters longer. I think it would have.
Yeah, everybody's just so afraid of that. I don't know, and it
It's
also
sort of like
depends. Sorry.
Go ahead.
No. I was just
No,
gonna
you
say
go ahead.
it depends on the like diminishing returns on that. So something like that has like massive launch, and then if it's just like diving, and it's not like when the original Black Panther movie came out, where it opened huge and then steadied off, but then it has stayed at a really, really high rate. But you're right in the fact too is that they kept Black Panther in theaters for a while, but it was also because of the response to it. So there was like people were just like going back to see that over and over again. You know what they didn't do that for though?
You tell me.
Black Panther 2.
Oh yeah, no, they didn't.
Because it was a bad movie. I mean, I don't really like the first Black Panther movie all that much either. There's things I like about it, but it falls victim to sort of like the generic third act CG fight that was built in before the movie was even created, along with some like logical problems. That movie is it's a little goofy. It's a little goofy.
Oh, by the
Um,
way, the Black Panther video game that was canceled at EA,
yeah.
Cliffhanger Games has also been closed. So that entire
Oh,
game
dang.
was canned, and then it was Doomsday that was delayed. Um, from it was set for May 2026 and then delayed to 27. Now they've been pushed back again to December of 2027. I say they, I mean
Mm.
Doomsday and also Avengers Secret Wars. And then let's see. Um, there was something else I could have sworn I saw that was delayed, but I can't find it now. But yeah, so and a few other games canceled. But yeah, man, I just don't think they hold the same weight. And I think, along with talking about video games and how they'll translate in Minecraft, I think it just depends on the property and
Yeah.
if people handle that source material well and how they decide to write the story and to whom their audience is.
Hmm.
I think the other factor in success as well is, funny enough, the only two big hits so far this year have been Minecraft and Sinners, both of which are Warner Brothers properties. But then Warner
Hmm.
Brothers also spits out The Last of Us season two.
Dude.
Um, they
And
should have
it
just
lost
canned it
like
after season one.
well, it lost like half its audience. So there will probably be a discussion about season 3 and whether
Yeah,
it's worth continuing it. I don't
but
even know.
I
I
think
I think I know. I was watching Critical Drinker earlier. He does his live stream on Thursdays, and Mahler was talking about this one scene from The Last of Us, and like we were talking about last week. I mean, I haven't watched it in weeks. I was like, I completely lost interest. And there's this like part in it where it looks like Abby is like killing Ellie, and it's like done in this like weird comedic timing, where the way
oh
she's
yeah,
like aiming at her, and I lost my train of thought with that, but they've just made a lot of like really weird choices, and I'm wondering when that's what I was getting at. It seems like maybe they left the season on a cliffhanger because they're doing what happens in the game where you finish Ellie's part of the story, well at least the first part of her story, and then it switches over all the way back to playing as Abby,
right.
and it's another like 10 hours or something like to get through that, and so that's basically
Oh yeah,
what
it's
they want
brutal.
to. Yeah, it's what they want to do with season 3, and it's like, listen, Caitlin Deaver is a fine actress. I was like, I think she probably would hold up a show better, but
Better than Bella Ramsey for
yeah,
sure.
but there's just too much. She probably would have made a better Ellie, honestly. Um, but there's too much baggage at this point,
Yep. There
and
is. It's not her fault. It's not any of the
no,
actors or actresses' fault. It's
no,
just like when you have a bad writer, that's what happens. And Neil
and
Druckmann.
yeah.
So
It's so funny too that when she got the role as Abby, everyone's like, "Oh no, watch out for the internet. They're going to hate you." And then it came out and everyone's like, "Nah, she's fine." She's doing what she can with the role, and because everybody understands, it's like it's not this actress, it's the way that she was written. It's not even the original voice actress for Abby.
yeah, no one
It's
cares about that.
yeah, because the people
It's Neil Druckmann and his writing
yeah,
and inputting stuff into the source material that does not. That's clearly just inserting your political agenda and ideology. Then also doesn't make sense within the storyline.
yeah,
So you can't have both of those things. And people for the life just Hollywood doesn't understand. People just want to escape. They don't into their fantasy shows and stuff like that. There's a genre where they can do what they want to do as far as like with the political ideology and everything, go for it. But it doesn't necessarily need to be brought in um, to fantasy,
yeah, yeah, exactly.
So and then that's why Hollywood is failing. I mean, I heard Rob Lowe mentioning that it's cheaper to fly 100 people to Ireland and to shoot there than to walk across the Fox studios and to shoot it would cost more money because all the permitting and everything
Mm-hmm.
they have to go through to
Mm-hmm.
get that done. And I'm like, that is ridiculous. That's why Hollywood, it's starting to become a ghost town when it comes to uh, Hollywood productions. I mean, a lot of people are leaving, and I think the indie scene rising, like independent cinema rising, is only going to be a good thing. I mean, we get movies. I don't really care, dude, if it comes out of South Korea, if it
Yeah,
comes out of freaking Nigeria. It doesn't matter where. I just want to see a good movie, like Godzilla minus one, for example.
exactly.
Um, who cares if it's in a foreign language? So.
Yeah,
But I've
exactly.
been told by our president if I do that, that's a national security threat. So I got to be careful.
Um, I speaking of our president, have you watched Mickey 17 yet?
No, I have not watched it yet.
Oh,
I
can
haven't
I?
had time.
Cool. I'm gonna give you my non-spoiler thoughts on it. Um, I think if Mark Ruffalo was not literally playing the president in that movie, it would have been better received.
Oh yeah, I heard that he was
Not only is the
basically playing old Trumpy.
dude, it's not just basically. I mean,
No, I heard that it was
he's
legitimately
doing
just all. That's
he's doing the
exactly who it
hand
was.
motions. He's trying to do the
That's
this
what I'm talking about,
voice.
dude. Like,
Yes,
why are you doing that? Why are
dude.
you so hyper fixated on
It's
someone like, dude? We don't care. I don't want to see Trump. I don't want to see Harris. I don't want to see.
well, it's
Maybe I want to see Ron Paul.
I
But
well, it's really a weird thing because
I just want to watch my TV show or movie that doesn't have anything to do with politics.
well, here's the thing: is that I don't want to. I'm not going to give away too much. I still think you should watch it. It's because I think it's a very
Now
interesting.
that Trump's in it, I have to watch
Of
it.
course, I think it's a very interesting idea, and there's a lot that I do like about it. Like even with Mark Ruffalo, I mean, and you got to understand, it's like it's not because of who he's trying to portray. It's all about how they wrote it, and he's not even attempting to play a fictional character. You know what I mean? It's just kind of sad, and he does a terrible job at it. Like he's just annoying. He's annoying through the whole thing. His character just doesn't make any logical decisions, and then everyone will tell you this is one of those situations, Joseph. Everyone will tell you, well, that's the point, and it's like, well, no, because that just kind of drags everyone else in the movie down as being dumber than they actually are, especially with what happens at the end. But it's a very interesting movie, and I hate that it's competently made, but the script is just it's more of a headache than anything. Like I've seen worse movies this year.
I'm kind of interested in seeing that.
Yeah,
Warfare came out. I want to see it. Dead
Yeah.
Reckoning's come out. I want to see it, even though I haven't heard the best things.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah,
And
unfortunately.
then Death of the Unicorn, I think, has come out.
Yeah, it's on streaming already, or like you can get it on video on demand. That's
Jeez.
the next one on my list.
I got a lot of stuff I got to catch up with.
Me too. I think I had mentioned to you I watched Novocaine, which was pretty good. Sort of, it's not a movie theater movie, unfortunately. I think it was definitely something that would have been better off on streaming. Like someone just paid them like pretty good money to get it on the platform, which I'm sure they'll do at some point. I think I could see that movie doing pretty well on streaming platforms. Like if Netflix picks that up, I think a lot of people would be really interested in it because it's kind of got this, it's weird to call it that because it's not a horror movie, but it's got this like comedic body horror. It's like the subgenre.
Right.
Because he can't feel pain, and so he just gets beat up and shot and burned and all sorts of like crazy stuff through the whole movie. And it's
That's funny.
Yeah, it's funny, and the plot is very simple, which is nice. They're not trying to overcomplicate anything with this. There's definitely a few moments because I watched it with a friend of the show, Justin, and
Justin.
yeah, and there were a couple times where we were both like, that doesn't make a lot of sense, and because we kept wanting to try to. He's got some sort of disease that messes with his like nerves or whatever, so he can't feel pain. And then the movie kind of does some like work to try to explain to you, because he meets this girl and she's like, "Can you feel pleasure?" He talks about how he can't like eat food because he's worried about biting his tongue off, and I'm like, yeah, maybe. I'm like, I was like, I don't have this, and my my knowledge of what would happen in these kind of scenarios is weird. And he's like, because he always has to have like blended food and stuff like that because he's worried about biting his tongue off with solid food. And then I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, yeah, but like you could still learn how to eat, right? I mean, I guess you could run that risk of like really biting your tongue that hard, but I mean, I don't know anybody who's ever bit their tongue. I mean, I guess it's because they have pain receptors, so they don't. I get it. It's just it's weird for me to try to make it make sense. Is what is what we were getting at. It's just like, okay, and then there were a few just like weird logical things that happen in it where people do decisions because the script requires them to, and it doesn't feel natural in the way that it's handled. But it's fun. Good good streaming movie, or if you can rent it for pretty cheap, it's cool. But yeah, I think
wish I could say I watched something this week, but like I said, I haven't had time.
Wow. Yeah,
but next week I'll report back with stuff. But a lot
Good.
of breaking news this week. I know we talked last week about the Lord of the Rings potentially getting canned after season 3 because of Wheel of Time getting canned. I mean, that's great news. It seems like there's a bit of healing going on because companies are now starting to realize, hey, we can't pump all this money to an IP and then have it completely bomb. Yeah. But I don't, and there's a lot of reports too that I read about different Hollywood companies, production companies trying to move away in both the film and video game industry from DEI stuff because of the current, landscape with the presidential administration. But I mean, not fast enough because there's still fast stuff happening.
Well, it's it's hard to turn around
in Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Hard to turn around a ship. Like
it
that.
is. Yeah. They announced more of the cast for Harry Potter,
which I'm fine with.
Yeah. I looked at the
we
picture.
talked about it off the podcast, and I'm like, yeah, I'm fine with this. I don't like.
Yeah, it's. I mean, we'll see what it comes down to when the show comes out. I'm gonna be curious to see. I have to imagine the thing. As long as they keep the story faithful, I think most people who are gonna watch it will look over the character. Yeah. Just the miscasting of characters, and if you were going for the authenticity of the story, one character in particular.
You and I talked about it. We were talking about Snape.
Yeah,
and it's one thing that if you've been listening to us long enough, where we think that it's weird, to in general, to
race swap a character.
Well, I was gonna say
change their skin tone.
I was going to say, like, to go away from the source material and how a character is described, and to be inaccurate from the source material. But it's also one of those things we know with House of the Dragon, and that could be an exception to the rule, but not the rule. You know what I mean? Because there's always exceptions.
Yeah.
To where obviously that happened with Coriolis. But man, that actor was so good.
And he's great.
So well. Yeah, it's great that it worked out.
Yeah. He's a legit actor, which goes a long way. And Yeah, House of the Dragon also just has like other problems. You know what I
But I
mean?
think you and I, yeah, it does. But you and I also talked about too that it's like if you want to make properties to where it's like instead of having the swap or gender swap or orientation swap, or to make these lazy adaptations to get what you want, to get these check boxes in place, just adapt something from Africa. Just adapt something from
Yeah.
South America. Like, I mean, look how well freaking Godzilla -1 did here in the States. I mean, we got to stay longer. They released a black and white version in the theater. Like, you
Yeah.
know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I've
Like,
got the
no
box
one
set.
cares.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly. No one cares about that stuff. It's just always going to be weird to me when they make choices like that.
Agreed. The whole like ginger side thing is pretty crazy too, even though that seems to
Hey, Ron
maybe
made it through.
yeah, Ron made it through.
That would have been so. I almost kind of wish they would have.
That would have been funny, dude.
Bro, could you imagine the memes?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh man.
Undeniable at that point. They must, even if the discussion came up, they were like, guys, it's too far. They've caught on.
Yeah.
We have to, we got to leave a ginger alive, you know?
We can't display our hand this hard and this
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah, for sure. Oops.
Dude, Lilo and Stitch is doing,
Ye-
seems like it's doing pretty well. It's
Yeah,
already made $421 million.
yeah, I heard about the end. Have you heard about the ending?
No, what's the ending?
So they changed the ending. So okay, Lilo and Stitch was a little
Spoilers for Lilo and Stitch
yeah
homers out there.
the yeah, I guess yeah, if you haven't seen the original one, the way that it was explained to me is that the original movie, the whole sort of overarching theme of it is family.
Yes.
And
Ohana means family.
yeah, and family means sticking together.
No one gets left behind.
Yeah, and so the other movie, the new one, at the end, Lilo gets left with the neighbor allegedly, and her sister goes off to college to be a marine biologist.
Ohana means family, and family gets left behind.
Yeah, very, very weird. It actually made me want to go back and watch the original movie again. I wonder how much that is. I wonder if they have it on 4K.
That's interesting. It's funny because anytime when we saw the Lilo and Stitch trailer and watched that one and watched the what's the How to Train Your Dragon live action one, my wife gets annoyed with me because I'll say, "Oh boy, I can't wait to see a movie I've already seen before."
But everybody knows it, you know.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. It's doing. Oh, okay. So that's not true. Lilo and Stitch actually did from. I like to use the people I work with as sort of my like pool of normies to figure out like what everyone's into.
Yeah.
And there was at least one person who was talking about Lilo and Stitch, and I think I've seen a couple other people online talk about it. So yeah, it's definitely. If I'm hearing, I feel like to some degree, if I'm hearing about it from those circles, it must be doing all right. It's
Yeah.
like it's
I'm wondering,
a
too.
decent measure of that.
It was pretty much making, on average, let's see, on the first day it released, it did basically 56. On the second day, 48, and then 42, then 37, then which would have been Monday, so the 4-day opening weekend, right?
Mm-hmm.
It did, let's just say, like 170, 180 million dollars, and then the last 2 days, and this is just domestically, it's done 15 and 10, which is probably to be expected with everyone going back to work, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's like
Oh, it's true. It
50%
was a
drop-off.
Memorial. It did get the Memorial Day boost, which I mean, it makes
Yeah.
sense that they would do that. I just forget.
But the box office, just so everyone knows, and movie theaters and movies are down tremendously this year, from like 50% from last year.
Yeah. Well, I don't know
So-
anybody. I mean, I've seen Sinners, The Monkey. There was one other one. What did I just go see? Oh, Thunderbolts.
Yeah.
I've already forgotten that I even went to the theater to see that.
Right.
Oh my gosh. Nobody's talking about that movie anymore either. It's like, it's the best movie since Endgame, blah, blah, blah. Nobody's talking about it anymore. You know why? Because nobody really cares. Because it wasn't that good. It is not an impactful movie, and it will disappear just like most of everything that came out after Endgame. No one's going to talk. I mean, No Way Home might be the only thing that anyone talks about from post Endgame, and it's really just because that movie has more of a connection to the previous stuff than it does everything that came after. Let's see. How are we doing? We're doing pretty good. What else did we need to talk about?
Trying to think.
We've
already bagged on The Last of Us.
Yeah. Oh, well, I guess
We've gotten our weekly bag in on Amazon. Also hilarious. I don't know if you saw, but Melee. This does have to do with entertainment. Melee tried to shut down Argentina's public TV, and they wouldn't let him, so he put on the libertarian cartoon Tuttle Twins on that channel instead. But so Terminalist comes out in August, in August 27th. So it's called Dark Wolf. So looking forward to that. And then David Leitch, is that how you pronounce his last name?
Lynch.
There's no way it's Lynch. It's Leitch. Leitch is in talks to direct Gears of War movie for.
Different guy. Different guy. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, I know.
Because
I knew who you're talking about.
Yeah.
So that'd be interesting to see. And then I saw something about. I'm doing rapid fire on you. I saw something about Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein trailer should be releasing soon.
That'd be cool. Yeah, that's like this whole new thing where everybody's making these serious like monster movies again. Because
it's Guillermo del Toro.
There was somebody else who was talking about wanting to make. Never mind. It's his name slipped my mind right now. But the guy that did Nosferatu is gonna do Frankenstein.
Oh. The same dude. That did the Northman. Whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Lighthouse and The Witch. His name. I don't know his name. Yeah, Robert Eggers. Thank you. Yeah. Sorry, his name was.
Yeah, I got you, Robert Eggers.
Yeah.
So. And then Highlander remake is moving forward at Amazon.
Oh, I hope. Yeah, I did. I saw that, and it's the same thing it always is with Mr. Cavill. It's like. Just want him to get a role and be able to stay in it. I mean, he's a great actor. Weirdly enough, I sometimes want to point to Mission Impossible, and his role in that is like one of my favorites. For Henry Cavill. Like I like that more than I typically like him as Superman. It's just I think you get to you just get to see his range in Mission Impossible Fallout. And so I just want to see more of that because I'm like more of that Henry, so we'll see. See. I hope it's good.
Saying that there are people who think he's not a box office draw, and I'm like, no, he just hasn't been in a lot of good stuff with
and nobody
people behind him.
It's not.
I don't think there's a such thing as anymore as a quote unquote. Like there is of a box office draw, for sure.
Yeah, I mean
however, it has to do with your whole team behind you.
Mm-hmm. And now it's more about the franchise a lot of the time. Like, sometimes it's name recognition, but I mean, even the Marvel stuff, like it proved that most of the people who were cast in Marvel, it wasn't about a specific character, like a specific actor. Like RDJ probably got a bit of a bump from that. Like if he didn't do a lot of other stuff outside of MCU. I mean, who needs to when he was making as much money as he did? But he's probably the closest that if he decided to keep doing a lot of other acting afterwards, it probably would have helped him for a while. But everybody else, Scarlett Johansson was also pretty close, but they kind of ruined that whole situation.
Yeah, they did.
And they screwed her over a little bit, I think.
And then I think Sydney Sweeney and Glenn Powell are probably starting to become that.
Wait, become what?
A box office draw. Trying to.
Yeah, maybe.
They're trying. I'm not saying they're there. I'm just saying they're on that trajectory, trying to get there.
Yeah, I could see that. Glenn, still though, man. I guess okay. So what? Because I always just go back to, and I think it's because people aren't like movies just don't have the same. In a lot of cases, it's not the top priority. Maybe we talked about this a couple weeks ago. It's not the top priority for a lot of people anymore. It's not a lot of people I know, just different age ranges, like they just don't go to the movies anymore, or they go on.
But I think
a
that's because of the
specific
audience
occasion.
being burned. I mean, you can't. I mean, you think about with Hollywood consistently attacking their audience and telling their audience that they're raised as big as this and that, and eventually, if you attack your customer, they're going to leave it alone. So I think that's part of it. Because you're right. I don't know hardly anyone who goes to the theaters anymore.
And I just don't think that it's definitely part of it what you're talking about. And I think a lot of other people who just don't really care about any of that, or they're not paying attention to it, they just don't see the value in it anymore. And some of that is because I think a lot of people, whether they realize it or not, they know that a lot of the storytelling and the characters and all of it is just not what it used to be. And it's happening to Pixar. It happened with Marvel and DC, and yeah, it's some of the stupid stuff that they put in there by their mandates, but it's also just that the talent just wasn't the same. Marvel, especially early on, Marvel was trying to tap very specific directors for their style. They wanted like full control of everything, but it wasn't as if the person in charge, so the director had more of a role. And now you look at something like The Eternals, and they tap this woman who just won an Oscar for a documentary, and you watch this Eternals movie and you're like, she didn't direct this.
Yeah.
She was probably there. I'm sure she had some input for things. I'm sure she brought some of her team, because Eternals has like some moments where like the camera work or whatever, like you can tell like it's done in a specific way. It's a little more artistic in certain ways. But yeah, it's the same. It's basically like we want to be able to put Chloe Zhao in the title and say Oscar winner because she just won an Oscar for a documentary. It's just funny. Excuse me.
Weird, isn't it?
Yeah, and as time has gone on, they're not even that lasted for a hot minute, and then they basically were just like, we'll just get this guy to do it, and everything is even more cookie cutter, same, and just bad in general. And then you get to something like the new Captain America that just came out. What was it? Brave New World? They changed the title so many times it's hard to remember.
Yeah. Something like that.
And then that movie is just like a mess, especially from an editing perspective. It's chopped, into oblivion. So yeah, man, that it's always so weird to see how that stuff plays out. But what did we have to talk about? Nobody. We still haven't talked about Nobody.
Let's do it.
So
Nobody 2.
Yeah, so I bought the first one on 4K. Been wanting to do that for a while, and I finally pulled the trigger on it because I was like, man, I really want to watch this again, and it's not. I would have had to pay for it to watch it on streaming, so I was like, well, I'll just get the 4K, so I've got that, and then I'll get a digital code so I can just watch it on streaming if I want to. And I was like, we didn't get to talk about it last week, and so I was like, well, we definitely need to talk about it this week, and I want to watch the first one again just for a little bit of a refresher, because I probably haven't watched it since we reviewed it on the show, which was, 2 years ago at this point? It's pretty close, right?
Yeah, it has been.
And the movie still holds up. I think it's excellent. It's, I guess, for like modern action, it's like kind of high up there for me. I love the scene on the bus, and I thought it was it's kind of an interesting movie because I forgot that the inciting incident for how most of the movie plays out, it has nothing to do with the first like 10 or 20 minutes of the movie. It's probably not 20 minutes. It's a pretty quick movie. So it's probably the first 10, 15 minutes of the movie. And there's like this whole plot right at the beginning that some of it plays over, but this whole scenario with the people who break into his house and like he's trying to go find his daughter's bracelet, that kind of like ends to a degree, and then like the other chunk of the movie happens, and I just thought it was really interesting the way that whole setup works, and I kind of like it because he's mostly going about his business after retirement, and then this one thing kind of pushes him, and he wasn't going to do anything, but then like his daughter being involved, and then those two characters, it's not like the two robbers at the beginning are even connected to any of the other villains in the movie. It just sort of like sets him on the path to be introduced to them. And I think it's really interesting to see, because you don't see that a lot in movies, or I think in writing in general. You kind of the sort of almost like you call it like the clandestine meeting that happens. Like, what if you ran into the specific person in a bar and they were like, "We're going on an adventure." It plays out in a way where you kind of get to see the whole connection of how he gets there, because it's like obviously he lives in the same city as these Russians, and there is a just so happens incident of he was out specifically that night, but him bumping into them could have probably happened in any kind of way, and I love the way that the script purposely sets that up on the bus, because it just goes into awesome action scene. I love the music in it, and so it was just fun to go back and watch it again, because I hadn't seen it in forever, and it's got a great final big fight in the warehouse too. So what did you think of the new trailer for number 2? I feel like
I thought it looked really great, man. I thought just the whole kind of premise of what I'm seeing in the trailer, that he's trying to go on vacation and get out of, being the ghost agent he is, and yet it just follows him.
Yeah.
It just the action scenes bringing back, what's his name? The father,
Christopher Lloyd, right?
Yep, Christopher Lloyd, and then his friend as well, with a katana scene. I just thought it was really hitting home, playing a lot of good fan service. So from the first movie, a lot of good callbacks.
Yeah. They didn't reset him as a character, which is nice.
Yes.
It's good to see that he's either something's going on where he's either doing some work again, and they're not trying to, his whole family knows who he is now, because that happens towards the end of the first movie, and they're all kind of like dealing with it. And then I like the sort of connection to the vacation movies with the music and the family, but it's a fun little like twist on it, just because of what is going to end up happening, right? Different kind of comedy to a degree. So
it seems to be expanding rather than rehashing.
Exactly. Yeah. It feels like a really good premise. You're getting out of the original area of that incident, and so it's not gonna be, well, it just so happens that another group of criminals are in this city. That he's actually going somewhere else and runs into his antagonists for the movie, and I like that.
Yeah.
Looks like the action
We'll see, though.
action still seems like it's going to be really good, and hopefully it keeps sort of that sort of dark sense of humor that the first one has.
Yeah.
That's just as tight as that. But yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it. And I'm wondering. That's most of the trailer. I don't think there was anything else. But yeah, his dad coming back's cool too. I'm glad that's happening. I'll be curious to see the bit, because one of the better elements from that first movie is the drama with him and his wife towards the beginning, and sort of the build up to them reconciling, and like everything that happens, and him kind of accepting who he is. And I'm curious where some of that because the family drama might still be there, but I'm wondering if it's going to take a back seat to the action. I guess it could be an interesting example, because we talk about this pretty regularly about the lessons that people learn from their like successful project. So back when No Way Home came out, the question that everybody had was, what lessons are they going to learn from this? Is it going to be the sort of like interesting plot and in a very cool way of bringing back in like past characters, but also like giving them things to do, or is it just going to be like, let's just put a bunch of popular people in cameos?
And is this actually going to be a script that makes sense, or just a lot of features?
Right. That's how we got Daredevil, Wolverine, which is basically that for the most part. But yeah, I mean, it looks good. It's exactly, I guess a good way of saying is it's exactly what I would want in a sequel as far as like the trailer's concerned. So hopefully the movie actually lives up to that. Don't have to wait too long. It'll be a couple months.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, dude. I feel like there's a movie that got announced that we haven't talked about, but it's slipping my mind right now. Oh man, I am. I think my brain is fading from this week.
Yeah.
Is what it is.
I hear you on that.
It's so funny. It's just like mental blocks are so crazy, where it's like, I should know this, and it's just like your brain's going, no, you don't know it. You have no idea. All right, Joseph. Is there anything else that we need to discuss?
No, sir. I think I said everything.
Yeah. Well, hopefully next week I'm going to try to watch a couple more movies from this year to catch up on some stuff, and I need to update my lists. Oh, wait, before we go, Joseph, we have to do it. We haven't done this in a couple weeks. Okay. So you have to pick at least one movie from my list.
One movie. Let's do...
Wait, Paul. I'm not there yet. I have to load it up.
30. You better hurry up, David.
Am I signed in?
31.
Hang on.
That's my choice. You feel the pressure.
31.
Yep. Movie number 31.
31. Have we talked about 31? We've talked about 30.
Tell me.
We've talked about 31.
Oh, we have?
Yeah, it's Blade.
Okay, let's do 44.
44. Oh, 44 is an interesting one. One of a few animated movies on the list. This came out in...
The Last Wish.
No, this came out in 1999.
Toy Story.
Directed by Brad Bird. And Vin Diesel is one of the main voice actors in this movie. Do you know what this is?
Ooh, Vin Diesel. Give me a second. Let me think about it. Is it... It's not Incredibles. Iron Giant.
The Iron Giant. Yeah.
Is he I was thinking Vin Diesel. Characters. He must have played the Giant.
He is the Iron Giant. Yeah, so Iron Giant, art's great, story's great. It deserves
fantastic movie.
Yeah, it deserves a spot on this list. go watch it. It's actually something. So I finally got that list working on my phone. So now I think I mentioned this last week. I've almost completed my second full watch through of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I have to finish Return of the King, and I decided to watch Mickey 17 instead, which was the wrong choice between the two. One is a far superior movie to the other. But yeah, Iron Giant's on the list, and I'm trying to go back through and watch stuff that I haven't seen in a while that's on the list. And Iron Giant's actually one of them. But I wanted to make sure I put a couple animated movies on the list. And it's funny that you said The Last Wish, Joseph, because I feel like I might end up putting that on here.
Oh, it's got to be. Anytime. So, I told you my keeper's father-in-law came to visit us. And before he came, my father-in-law and mother-in-law were asking, what are some great movies I've seen from the past few years. And
Crazy.
one of them I said was The Last Wish, hands down. I've already seen that movie 5 times. And if anyone knows me, I don't like to watch things over and over again.
There's exceptions for sure.
Yeah. So it's got to be a good movie, or I'm forced to because of the podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Wow, there's a lot.
Usually one and done.
Oh, I might have to post.
Every time I watch that movie, it just expands. And there's things I haven't seen. I think the last time we watched it, I was showing you that death was in the beginning of the film, and I was showing you the scenes where, it's easy for you to miss them.
Okay, it's been added to the list because I think that is fair. That deserves a place. You know what's crazy? One of the things I've been loving about going back and watching Lord of the Rings, is like picking up on those kinds of things. For whatever reason, I never realized that. Okay, so when and maybe I mentioned this last week, when Gandalf finally fixes Theoden, and he gets Saruman out of his head, and it cuts directly to Saruman, and he's got this big black mark across his forehead.
Yeah.
And it's so cool because it's the details like that I love the way that they portray Gandalf's magic in those movies.
Yes.
I think it's a great example of how you do like a soft magic system, where Gandalf is like clearly OP in certain ways, but his magic is distinct enough that you understand what's happening, but mysterious enough that you're not fully sure where his abilities lie. Right. And if there's like what role he's actually allowed to play in all of that too, and how much he's allowed to influence, and how much he actually knows, and like what that looks like. They keep all of that kind of a mystery, because obviously it would take forever in a movie to try to explain everything if they really wanted to get like deeper into it. But I always found it really interesting. It's like, he speaks in certain riddles because he's like a prophet in some respects, where he is aware of some kind of potential outcome, but he's not sure exactly what that looks like and how to get there. Like there's a lot of roads to go for certain things that Gandalf is seemingly aware of, but there isn't an exact like roadmap for it. And the way that they handle all of that with him is, and leaving things sort of, I guess you could say, open to interpretation, but just to get kind of this interesting understanding of the different characters in the movie, or in the movies. It's just really cool. And I love all of it's fun to like look at all of the little details, or like, that's interesting. It's like, why did that character react like this? And not in a bad way. Like I feel like we do a lot. It's an actual good way of being like, oh, that was interesting. Like how are they really feeling? Like, what's that telling me about what's happening in this scene, or how they feel about a certain character at a certain time? And, of course, going back through sort of like Boromir and Faramir's whole relationship with their father. Just been finding that like so interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, gotta get caught up on some other movies. Can't just keep watching Lord of the Rings over and over again, even though I would love to.
I gotta go back through it again.
Oh, dude,
the original trilogy.
I was like itching to do it, and I finally did it, and then I finished, and I was like, I think I'm just gonna do it again. It's so good. And I remember when I was telling you, so I think, it's so funny. I think Return of the King has like clawed its way up into the top spot for me right now. I know. There's
nothing wrong with that, man. Like we talked about last week, it just depends on the season of life, you know.
Mm-hmm. I think it's Return. It's for me. I think it's always going to be Return of the King and Fellowship. I like Two Towers, but even going back through and watching it, and I don't know, is this a you tell me if this is like, I wouldn't call it a controversial opinion, but if it's a hot take, I find Two Towers to be, of the three, the weakest of the three.
You think Two Towers is?
Yeah, but I'll tell you this. I think it's in context of the book, so I don't know if that's fair.
Yeah, that would be a hard one to parse out, because I think I could make the argument Return of the King would be the weakest
of the
three.
week.
Yeah. Basing it off of just the trilogy and not considering the book, and then also considering the book. But I can also see an argument could be made for the Two Towers.
Yeah. I find the way that he handled the elves at the end, even outside of the context of the book, see, they're kind of there and then they're not, and it's sort of weird. And I think I get like what they were going for, but at the same time, like that part always especially recently in a lot of what we talked about, I don't hate it. But it does it's sort of like, okay, maybe they just could have done it a little bit. I get why they did it, but I think they could have done it a little differently. It's just like make it about the Rohirrim. Which still is still so good. And there's so much of Two Towers that, like, without that, Return of the King, obviously those relationships carrying over. Yeah, you don't have the build. You don't have the build up. Yeah, I mean, listen, Two Towers, I understand. It's laying the groundwork, just the way that Fellowship is laying the groundwork in a lot of ways.
Yep.
Maybe it's just one of those things right now where it's like, I'm okay in a world where we don't get the great payoffs that we used to. Maybe that's part of the connection to it, is that you just being able to soak in all of the payoffs from everything that they set up in the first two movies. It's so good. It's just wonderful. It's wonderful. I know we were like talking about Iron Giant. I keep talking about Lord of the Rings because they just don't make stuff like that, dude. It just doesn't exist anymore, and it's really sad. I mean, I don't think you get as much as often anymore. Because I still kind of like Godzilla -1 is one of those special movies, and I don't know what else from like last year, because Godzilla -1 was 2 years ago, almost about a year and a half.
Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, and I don't know what I've seen since then that has made me feel the same way as stuff from Lord of the Rings. I got some of that, or Star Wars, or Indiana Jones, or a lot of that stuff. Same feeling I got from Godzilla -1, and don't get from a lot of other things. It's the mix of like knowing how good everything is, and then like you're able to wrap yourself up emotionally in it because it's so good. Just doesn't happen anymore. All right, Joseph. We're at about an hour.
Yes, sir.
anything else that you would like to say before we close out?
Can't wait to do this again next week.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we'll get caught up on some other movies, and I don't even know, other than Death of a Unicorn, I don't know what else I need to catch up on. I'll just have to go through a list. Oh, I got like Working Man that I still need to watch and some other stuff. So, alrighty. Well, Joseph, thank you for another episode of The Underground. We'll be back next week talking about some other movies. I'm sure we'll get some kind of news about something this week. It always happens.
Oh, yeah.
Inevitably, we'll get off of here and there'll be some big news. Yeah, Rings of Power's been canceled. Yeah, let's go. Well, whenever that happens, we're just gonna have a little like celebration, you know?
Yeah, celebration stream.
Yeah, celebration stream.
It'll be extra.
Mm-hmm. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in wherever y'all are at. And until next week, y'all take it easy.
See ya.